Welcome to this edition of Bison Insider. Today, Jason Berger caught up with Coach Jensen and talks Bison football. Hannah Morris speaks with the athletic director about winning the Learfield Cup for the second consecutive year. And our producer, Jonathan Polasic, sits down with Coach Tolin to discuss the honor of being inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame. This is Bison Insider. To start off, we're going to send it down to Jason Berger, who caught up with Coach Jensen to talk about their most recent loss and how they're preparing to take on Langston University.
I'm here with Coach Jensen today. Coach, the season's already off to a better start than last. I know you're coming off a hard loss this week, but your team is 4-2, and personally I think you've had a great season so far. 6 games into the grind, how do you think you're doing so far?
Well, we did stub our toe a little bit last Saturday, and that was a hard pill to swallow. Don't feel like we played our very best, and that's one of the things you don't like, is to take the field and not play your best. Left a lot of plays on the field. There were some games that we've had this season that obviously we have played really well, and so we made a lot of progress from last year. Pleased with that, but we're still not where we need to be. We still need to get better.
Due to your team's success previous to this week, what do you think has made the difference on the team between this season and last?
I think the players were committed through all last off season. We've asked them to do some things conditioning-wise and in the weight room that probably couldn't have asked them to do the year before. But I think collectively they saw how close we were last year. Being a young program, they still saw how close we were, and they were committed to trying to improve on that.
At the beginning of this season, your offense was leading the state of Oklahoma in points scored per game with 48 average. What factors do you think have contributed to that offensive success?
Coach Brickman played a huge part in that. He's the mastermind, the wizard behind it all. And, we get into a lot of different formations, a lot of different personnel sets, and it helps us run the ball effectively. And then when you can run the ball effectively, it helps you throw play action. And so when you can do that, you can score points.
And has Myers and Barnes helped you out any on offense?
Oh yeah,
also?
yeah. Dawson was a mid-year transfer last year. He came in January, and then Jordan's been with us ever since the beginning. But those guys both have had a huge contribution to the success of the offense.
What is the focus in practice this week? Looking forward to Langston.
I think our players have realized that last Saturday doesn't reflect Bison football. It doesn't reflect the way that they should prepare for a game, and we've already seen a change in attitude on the practice field. And I think we're going to see a lot more leadership step up this week. We had a great practice today, and so we've got to carry that through Wednesday and Thursday.
Do you think the players have been taking it pretty personally?
I do. I think they have. We've got leaders on the team, but we don't have a whole lot of vocal leaders, and we've seen some guys that haven't been out front vocally, lead by example, but because of the loss on Saturday, they've stepped out front and they've been willing to say something.
What are some of the specific things you plan to work on this week as far as drills go?
We've got fundamentals. We've got to get back to basics. We've got to block better. We've got to tackle better. We've got to fit better on defense. We've got to hold our blocks. We've got to catch balls. We've got to throw balls where they need to be thrown. There's a lot of things we need to work on to get better.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep.
Good luck this week. See you next down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Now we go to Hannah Morris, who is with Robert Davenport, OBU's athletic director, to discuss the honor of OBU being awarded the Learfield Cup for the second consecutive year.
OBU is the fourth school in the NAIA to win the Learfield Cup for 2 consecutive years. As the athletic director, how does that make you feel?
Winning consecutive cups, being only the fourth school to do that is a big honor. And it says a lot about our coaches and our athletes. It's when you look at the scope of our athletic program, I believe last year all of our teams, with the exception of 4, competed in national competitions, and so that says a lot in itself about our level of play and recruiting and student athletes. So it's a big honor to be, in that 4, and we just hope we can continue to compete for it every year.
How is the Learfield Cup winner determined?
There's a point system based on each championship, and each championship's worth 100 points. And it varies, the scale varies depending on how many teams are in the national tournament. For example, basketball has 32 teams. And so the point scale is different than, say, maybe golf that doesn't have 32 teams. And so where you place in the final championship standings, so if you're a runner-up in basketball, you get 90 points instead of 100. And it kind of goes like that. And you can only count 6 championships on the men's side and 6 on the women. So we have 21 teams. We can't count them all. So all but 4 qualified last year. We can't count them all. We count our top 6 on each side, and so that's how they're calculated. And I want to say we were in the 900-point range last year.
What does this award mean for OBU athletics and coaches?
Well, until we were finishing in the top 4 or 5 when we started getting trophies, I don't think anybody really paid a lot of attention to it because nobody really knew exactly what it was. They might see that Stanford's won 28 consecutive Learfield Cups. They're the only Division I school to ever win a Learfield Cup. But they have, I want to say, in the neighborhood of 40 sports. And so they kind of have an advantage there because they can pick and choose a little easier. But once we got our first trophy for 4th place 3 years ago, everybody said, well, what's that? And I said, well, it's the Learfield Cup, and started explaining. And then we win it last year, or year before last, and now everybody's like, oh, now we see what this is all about. And so, it just adds a kind of a level of competition, and coaches, and more so coaches than the athletes, understand the competition level there, and the pride in the university and those kind of things, and want to be the best. And so the ones that are winning championships or competing for championships or scoring in the totals, they like to thump their chest because they were a part of that.
Do you think that OBU has the potential to win the Learfield Cup for a 3rd consecutive year?
I'll say yes. We do have the potential to do that. The last 2 years we've had great teams, and the coaches have done well. This year, again, I think we have great teams, and a lot of it just kind of depends on, sometimes the luck of the bounce. You win games here, you lose games here, but our expectations are to compete for it, every year. Now that we're going Division II, this will be our last year to compete for the NAI Cup. And then once we're a full-fledged member of the NCAA, then we'd be competing for the Division II Cup. And we're going to have some challenges there. I mean, it's a different level of competition, but that sets the bar for us, to determine how good we have to be, and what we have to do to be successful on that level. And it's a high bar. But for me, that's one of the reasons that I'm excited about going to Division II, because I know we have great coaches, I know they recruit great student athletes, and I know we can take another step forward.
So do you think that this award puts the athletic stereotype to rest as far as laziness and just that athletic kids are not very smart?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm starting my 4th year here, and so I can't speak to the years before just because I don't know the information. But my first year here, the overall department-wide GPA was 3.01. And which I thought was outstanding. An athletic department at above a 3.0 is awesome. And we finished 4th in the Learfield standings that year. The second year, we won the Learfield Cup first time, and our department-wide GPA went up to 3.04. And so I thought, wow, I didn't know what to expect, and I thought, well, that's great. We jumped up. And then last year, we win the Cup again, and when we do our GPA calculation, it went up again to 3.11. And I attribute that to a lot of things. First, great student athletes that are willing to put the time in class. But secondly, I look at kind of what factors led to that, and I have to give credit to the Milburn Success Center and the people over there that have put together, the tutoring and advising and those kind of things to put kids in a position to be successful. And I think if you look overall across the university, you'll see an increase in GPA from that department doing their job and really having an impact on the university. And I think typically we're the only ones that really calculate a GPA because we're asked to do that by the NCAA and those things. And so for us, when I saw that, I told those guys, man, you're doing a great job over there, and the kids are doing a great job working hard and getting better in the classroom. And so, I think that in itself, does away with the stereotype you're talking about. And then you couple that with, back-to-back Learfield Cups. Athletes are smart and can be smart, and it's fun to watch that and see people's reaction when they hear that, because most people don't know the GPA statistics and those kind of things. And when you say that, they're like, "Are you serious?" And so that is a testament to those guys and our student athletes and our coaches.
Earlier this week, Jonathan Polasic sat down with Coach Tolin to talk about what it personally means to be inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame.
Coach Tolin, 14 consecutive NAIA tournaments, SAC Coach of the Year 3 times, NAIA Coach of the Year in 2010, as well as a national championship in 2010. Now NAIA Hall of Famer. What does all that mean to you?
I think a couple things really hit me when you name those things right there. Number one, that's a lot of good players and a lot of good assistant coaches that have allowed us to be successful. And I think the other thing it does, it shows what a good place it is to coach basketball here at OBU. This is a good place to be the basketball coach. There's no doubt about that.
6 31 seasons under your head coaching, like you had mentioned, with all the coaching staff and the players. The recruiting aspect has been good for you, wouldn't you say?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, that's the key to college athletics is the recruiting. I think the coaching is way overrated. It's about the players, and as I was a high school coach, every level I moved up, I began to realize there's a lot less coaching going on, a lot more good players as you move up. And we've been fortunate to have really good players, and we've been fortunate to have a mixture of guys that are JUCO transfers or Division I transfers or high school guys that have been here 4 or 5 years, whatever the situation is, and those guys are the key to the whole thing.
When you look back after you're done coaching here, what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh gosh, that's not something you spend much time thinking about. Our goal every year is to have an environment where our guys can be successful in every area, not just on the court but off the court. And I'd hope our program was a place where guys could come and be successful and accomplish the things that they want to, and a lot of them do. And those things really make you. I think anybody on a college campus is proud when kids leave here, graduate, and go on and do a lot of special and big things. It's nice to have been a small part of that.
After all of your accomplishments, what keeps you coming back and staying motivated for each new season?
Oh gosh, I think it's every season's completely new, completely different. It's a new group of kids, and even years where we've had, maybe 3/4 of the team back, it's not the same as it was last year. You change one guy, and the dynamic of the team changes, and of course the league changes, and it's a challenge every year. There's no doubt. Sometimes it's a little more challenge than you want, but it's fun. It's exciting from that standpoint, and again, I think there's something to kind of feel an obligation to make sure this program is year in and year out, one of the best in the league, and hopefully can be able to play with about anybody in the country.
Thank you for joining us on Bison Insider. Enjoy the game.